I'm pumping out Immortals, and actually a very good thing that I did pump out Immortals here, because this army is full of Stalkers, and Immortals will just tear through Stalkers. Immortals get a bonus against armored units. If we find an Immortal here, oh, I don't think he's quite out yet. Come on, Immortal, get out there so I can look at you. Come on, Immortal. Almost done. Alright, where are you? There we go. If you look at the Immortal, they get a 50 against armored. So, way, way better against an armored units like Stalkers. He is actually going for what, 4 gate, which is a pretty standard play for the toss, especially in a case like this where he's kind of knows he's a little bit behind and needs to pump out a lot of units. I mean, he's got those Colossi there. One thing that he didn't do, and I must admit I myself did not do this map, is I didn't get out any sentries. Sentry play can be so powerful. You can completely block off an army and reinforcements, and if you're a Protoss and maybe you're just playing the game for a bit and you're starting to get into some of the more tactical side of it, definitely start getting sentry play. They are incredibly helpful. So up here, Sniper's actually, since he took his third expansion, Sniper's going to take his old expansion. So here comes the Protoss army moving over here. Lots of Hydralisks coming for blue, but so far they haven't done too much with it. Right here is a not so menacing force of Zerglings when you look at those Colossi and their thermal lance, if he got it, which I assume he did. We continue to looking at army size here. We see 34 Marines, 13. I mean, he has no units. Brad has absolutely no units at all. I mean, there's some Zerglings and Hydras for the blue, so that's a fairly decent army. We kind of missed it up there, and I wasn't paying attention, but there was a real mismanagement of the Lings on Sniper's part. They did essentially no damage to this army coming up right here. I'm gonna go units lost. Sorry, still getting used to casting games. So here we see a Protoss army moving in. The Sniper's pretty much got nothing to defend this. He's gonna lose this hatchery if he's not careful. He did bring in some mutes which are going to be able to do damage to those Colossi. If he can take those Colossi out, it's going to be super easy. But unfortunately, they're great against the loose. Now here comes in the Stalkers and the Immortals and the Marines, and between that combination and the mutas, this army really, although it may have looked menacing at first, is not going to stand much of a chance. And we can see that he has now taken over the dubious lead of having lost the most resources by units. Right here, this really is now our map for the taking. We know red is crippled. We know we've destroyed a bulk of blue's forces, or teal's forces, and blue, we don't really not too sure what he's doing yet, but we can't imagine that he is going to be so far ahead of us. So we decide to move out. Sniper's massing up, so lots of Lings right here. We've got the remnants of my Protoss force massing over here. Again, should have got Colossi out in this map, and should have got sentries out in this map, especially since I know that he's going mass gateway. Those sentries would have been highly beneficial. So here we are, we're moving in right here. We're just going to first of all just kind of see if we can pick off some expansions and figure out exactly what our ally has. Another thing that I did poorly this map is I didn't get any weapons upgrades. Luckily for me, neither did oh right, you may have picked that up. I might have picked my phone going off up in the map. Lots of interruptions today. Neither did my opponent. He didn't have any attack upgrades either. That could have been very devastating for my army if he did. Okay, here we go, moving in. I kind of mismanaged a little bit. They were a bit of a meandering line and didn't really get them as far as I could. Here, sentries would have been great. I could have blocked off that wall there, helping those, protecting those Stalkers and Immortals against all those Zealots. In comes the Mutalisks. In comes the army here. Here comes the Hydras. My Hydras are also armored units, and my Immortals will do extra damage to them. Unfortunately for me, I lose most of my army because yellow is just a second behind. If I'd had support of yellow, my army pretty much would have stayed, and I now am also pretty high on the list of units lost. But again, once those Marines got in there, also with no upgrades for the Thors or the Marines, pretty much I should just title this the no upgrade map, because it looks like Sniper doesn't have any upgrades for his mutes or pretty much anything else. So this is officially now the no upgrade map. Something not to do. That's your not to do for the day. We're just going to pick off here a lot of gateways going down. This is going to, I mean, just not only does it cripple his economy because he had his gold expansion here, and that turns out to be his only expansion, but he's going to knock out 3 gates. We still don't know where red is because we know he rebuilt. Sniper, as he moves in to try to take him out, actually sees where red is. Those lings are in trouble since they can't hit air. There's a queen there, but the queen will go down fairly quickly to that many Mutalisks. I guess they tried to move out in a desperate attempt to do something, and pretty much they got destroyed along the way. I moved in what little force I had left here and did the damage I could. So we're looking at army value. Army value is pretty poor, but we can see my allies are quite high, and the blue Zerg does have a number of forces on his side. I've actually re-macroed quite a bit of force back here. It doesn't really matter too much now. I mean, this red is essentially done. We've just seen that he hasn't rebuilt his base. These Marines with the Thor support are going to tear through a good chunk of this army right here. Those Stalkers going down. A Colossi, although powerful by himself, can't really do much. And now it's really just a feeding frenzy. Now it's just whoever can fire their guns the fastest. Interesting to note here that initially Jam doesn't have any medevacs with his sort of Bioball Thor combo. Normally if you're going Marines and Marauders, you want to have some medevacs in here. Here's Whitegumby just telling us that we played well. I wasn't too sure if that was a sarcastic thing or whether that was oh, you played well, like congratulations. I'm going to take it as it was a congratulations, played well. It definitely makes me feel better about myself, even though this wasn't the best game that I've played in my career of StarCraft 2. Here we go. Here comes in Blues finally bringing in his reinforcements. I think that's a little too late now since his one ally is essentially crippled and the other one is pretty much crippled as well. He does manage to take out a lot of those with medevacs. Those Marines may have been able to last a little bit longer. Again, no upgrades on the Hydras, no upgrades on the Thors. Here comes in the Marines. Now with some medevacs, and we see that red and teal have not rebuilt. It's really academic, and just for the giggles, I bring in some Stalkers and Immortals and decide to see if I can take out Blue's base, and I never get to do it because Blue leaves. So that was, I guess, the second game I've casted. It was a 3v3. I think it had a lot of interesting points and some good things to do and good things not to do. All right, everyone. Well, I guess I will see you next time, and so say we all.